probably been 9 months since the pandemic had began. We were actually in the studio preparing to come back. I landed from a jump that I have done hundreds and hundreds of times in my life. When I landed, my leg stayed turned out and my knee just caved in. I never felt anything like it. I just fell to the ground. I had to be carried out of the studio. I tried to tell myself, like, oh, maybe it's not so bad. It was clear the next morning I woke up, my knee was massive, and it started to really sink in that I probably had done something pretty major. I got an MRI. He's like, you have 100% ACL tear. I knew what that meant. I knew that that was the worst outcome.
So it's very difficult because for any of us, ACL tear can really put you back, and it could be somewhat life-altering. For her, it was definitely life-altering. Her life changed in an instant when she tore her ACL.
I immediately started crying because I knew what this meant. He didn't spare any details. He was very upfront with me, which I actually preferred rather than being told it's going to be fine.
It is really hard to break that news, and you have to be real, you have to be upfront, and you have to sort of grab the emotional side of this and say, we're going to run with it for a while, but for a short while, because we have to now start the healing process.
Just hearing that it was going to be a year was completely heartbreaking. I had my own doubts, but from Fadale, he was very positive. He was confident with the job he would do with my surgery. He was confident with his physical therapist after that. There was never a doubt almost from his aspect that I could get back to where I was. I needed to hear that I could do it from someone with that much experience, you know?
I feel comfortable in getting these athletes in my office, talking to them, saying, we have a solution to your problem. I'm going to get you there. And I think that confidence we start out with guides them through the grueling months of recovery that you have to go through to get a successful ACL reconstruction.
I'm walking. I kind of knew physically I could get there. Mentally, though, I was really, really scared of having mental blocks towards certain things, or being just scared to perform, or scared to even just go back into a studio and jump.
I try to train our younger surgeons. It's not just your hands. Again, that's critical. The surgeon does the right surgery the right way, but you can't stop there. You can't pass that athlete off and say, good, I'm done with surgery. You know, I'm not going to see you again. I have to do as much mental support as physical exam. That's what I think is the critical part to getting long-term success. It's not just the surgeon, it's the team around the surgeon that will ultimately determine success for our reconstructions.
The best thing about Jen, she was also previously a professional ballet dancer. Unless you've been a ballet dancer, it's hard to really understand what we do. So her having that experience, she's able to really connect with us, and she can come up with solutions and exercises that really are directed towards what we do. So my physical therapy path was different than someone else's.
The athletes, the dancers, immediately identify with her because they know what Jen knows to get them back. They're not hockey players, they're not football players. This is a different skill set. So if you go in and your therapist really doesn't understand dance, you don't really have a lot of confidence that they're going to get you to where you need to go. If the confidence is not there, no matter how good their surgery went, no matter how good the recovery's going, the dancer isn't going to go back and dance.
When I got back in the studio, it had been so long, I wanted to just give it everything I've got. I had to completely change my mindset, and it was no longer about just going for it and dancing in that moment. It was about being smart and listening to my body. It was slow and it was definitely hard, but I was just so excited, I think, to be back in the studio that even the slow progress was enough almost for me at that point. All of a sudden I'm on stage. And at that point, it had been almost 2 years since I had stepped on a stage because of the pandemic and then my injury. I was nervous, but once I was just doing it, it was like, I was like, oh, finally. All the hard work seemed to finally come together. I think I've appreciated all my performances more than I probably ever had, with now knowing how fragile it all is.
When I met her, it was horrible. The amount of tears, the crying. I've seen her at the depths of depression. And now you see her today, that ginormous smile. She looks great. I'm going to hope she dances for another 10 years or more. To be able to play a small part in that woman's life, to keep her on track for her journey, is really something special that how many jobs in the world can give you that pleasure. And I am blessed to have that opportunity.
I appreciate all of them so much. Everything I experienced with them was so smooth, and they were there for me and truly made me feel like they believed in me the entire time through. From the surgery, waking up from the surgery and then being there for me. For a terrible situation, I had the best experience at the University Orthopedics.